Zambia is aiming for a sharp rebound in economic growth and a halving of its budget deficit next year as it recovers from the worst drought in living memory. Finance Minister Situmbeko Musukotwane said Zambia is targeting growth of 6.6% in 2025 compared to a forecast of 2.3% growth in 2024. The El Niño-induced drought has wiped out crops across southern Africa, causing food shortages and denting the region's economic prospects for the year. While presenting the budget for the next financial year, Musokotwane said next year's rebound was premised on a better performance of mining and agriculture. Zambia is targeting a budget deficit of 3.1% of gross domestic product in 2025 compared to the 6.4% forecast this year. Roughly 80% of next year's spending will be financed by domestic revenues, with 4% financed by grants and 16% by borrowing. Let's get more insights from Dr. Oswald Mungule, who is the president of the Economics Association of Zambia. He joins us via Zoom from Zambia's capital, Lusaka. Thank you, Dr. Mungule, for joining us tonight. So Zambia is facing tough budget choices, particularly with the pressures of drought and rising debt. How do you assess the current economic situation?
Thank you so much for having me on TV, and just to express gratitude for this opportunity to share the current economic situations in Zambia. Yes, you are right. The environment is very tough. The budget has come at a very tough time when the country is experiencing drought and depreciating currency. But the forecast for next year is projected to be positive, owing to improvements in some of the productive sectors of the economy, such as the mines. Some mines were dormant for a long time, but starting this year and getting into next year, we shall see a massive production of copper. The projected output of copper is about 3 million tons of copper expected to be produced. So that should be significant enough to pull the economy out of this economic situation.
Okay, so that's quite optimistic, but really looking at the present situation, persistent drought in Zambia has pushed the country's inflation to a near 3-year high, and food prices, and we know, are a significant driver. So from today's budget, do you think the government has put enough measures into place to address the issue of food security given the current circumstances?
The goodness is that in Zambia, we tend to have very good plans, but the problem is implementation. When it comes to implementation, we don't stick to plans, and we get some of these plans derailed over time. So public finance management is one of the key issues, is a challenge for us to pull through. We need to work on the public sector in terms of how we spend the money. You find that, for instance, the CDF, which has been increased in next year's budget, is going to, have a larger impact more on the rural communities or rural districts than on the bigger cities in terms of the impact. So bigger cities normally don't feel the impact of the CDF, but the rural areas are the ones that are feeling the impact, because they can actually see that there's some improvements in their livelihoods as opposed to the urban areas. So it's a challenge. We have to wait and see. What is put on paper is different from what can actually be realized at the end of the program.
Another significant issue has to do with Zambia's debt levels. That has been a pressing concern. Has the finance minister managed to navigate this landscape while still addressing the needs of the population?
Yes, that's a challenge. That's a challenge. The mood at the moment is that the population is, is undergoing these hardships in terms of energy deficits. Most of the areas are load shedded. So the population is really economically they are depressed, and that will be a problem in terms of the implementation of the budget next year, because the spirits have to be lifted. We have to make sure that the spirits are lifted, so that the budget implementation is supported. Now, once the budget is not supported, then that will create a problem in terms of its implementation. So the people are very critical, they are very key to the implementation of the budget next year.
Right, so you did say on paper the proposals look quite good. However, implementation is a whole other factor or issue. So what are the potential risks if these budget choices don't align with the pressing economic realities?
First of all, we have to make sure that the deficit is not bloated. Of course, we've seen that the budget is 217.1 billion budget for next year, and out of that, we intend to borrow 34.7 billion kwacha. Now, the 34.7 billion kwacha borrowing is about 1% of the GDP. So on paper, that looks very good. It's impressive, given that we are coming from a situation where we had a huge debt, which has now been restructured. So this is a good thing on paper, but as I said, the challenge is on the public finance management, where we tend to relax when implementing the budget. So that's where the problem is. Now, if you derail the budget, then we might not achieve the intended goal. The other danger is that, the risk is that if we thinly spread the resources, the little resources that we have, that might also create a problem because we won't see the results. We'll be spending the money, but we won't be able to see tangible results from the expenditure. So the advice is that we need to identify the key sectors and then spend money in sectors and industries where there is very big impact. Industries that have spillover effects to the rest of the economy, that would be the best approach to take for the country in order to have a very good budget performance.
All right, thank you very much for those insights. Dr. Oswald Mungule speaking to us from Lusaka in Zambia.